Hi everyone! As many of you already know, new requirements in order to enter Turkey are about to start as of tomorrow, September 6th of 2021. So for that reason, we wanted to wait until the last minute to provide you with all the updated information about that, because sometimes the government is making announcements on the last minute. So that's why until today, we wanted to wait to share all of this with you. So before we start with the video, we would love to ask you to please give it a like. That way our videos can reach more people like you and who are planning on traveling to Turkey. Many things haven't really changed since the last video we made about this topic. But let me tell you that we have great news, especially for our followers and audience from Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. So stay in this video so you can see about these new requirements. According to the new announcement made by the Minister of Interior of Turkey, flights coming from Brazil, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and South Africa are still suspended until further information. Any other passenger coming from any other country but that have been in any of these 4 countries for at least 14 days before coming to Turkey, then you must submit a negative PCR test with a maximum of 72 hours. And also you will need to quarantine for 14 days. And I think within the 10 days also another PCR test will be requested from you. And if the PCR test is already negative, then you can continue with your normal trip in Turkey. Referring to passengers coming from the UK, Egypt, Iran, and Singapore, they will need to submit as well a negative PCR test within the 72 hours before departing to Turkey. It doesn't matter if the passengers are already vaccinated or not. Specifically for these countries, you will need to submit as well a PCR test. And finally, good news for all of our audience watching us from Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. And finally, some travel rules have been eased for passengers coming from these countries. And the rules will be as it follows. If you are not vaccinated, then you need to follow these rules. So for example, you will need to present a negative PCR test up to 72 hours beforehand. And also you will need to quarantine in Turkey. For people who have already been vaccinated and of course are coming from these countries like India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, it will be more than enough by showing a negative PCR test within the 72 hours before entering Turkey. And also, you will need to show your vaccination certificate with the second dose and that a maximum of 14 days have already passed between your doses and your travel to Turkey. In that way, you will be able to avoid the 14-day quarantine in the country. If you're concerning about where you can do the isolation in Turkey, then we will share as well the official link in our description box, where you will be able to see all the list of the hotels that have been approved by the government and by city. So you will be able to see as well the names, the phone numbers, and the emails where you can directly contact them. We don't know the price of how much they will be charging for that, so we cannot really give you that information. But we just go ahead and check the link where you can contact directly to those hotels in the cities that you're interested in doing your isolation. Now, what about the passengers coming from any other country? And I mean by any other country, like all of those that are not included in this list, which are India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, the United Kingdom, Iran, Singapore, South Africa, Brazil, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. Apart from these countries, that means any other country, for example, the US, Mexico, Canada, Germany, Croatia, Thailand, any other country, then you will follow these other protocols. If you are already vaccinated, then you can enter the country by only showing the proper vaccination certificate and that you have already both doses and that at least 14 days have already passed between your doses and your travel to Turkey. Or for example, if you're coming from the US and you received the Johnson & Johnson, which is only 1 jab, then you can also come just like that with your vaccine certification. That will be it. No need of showing a PCR test or an antigen test. That will be more than enough. If you're not vaccinated yet, then you can also provide a negative PCR test within the 72 hours before coming to Turkey, or an antigen test within the 48 hours before entering the country. In the case that you have already had COVID-19, but you already recovered at least with 6 months before coming to Turkey, then it's also enough by showing the proper document to the country. You don't need the vaccine certification or PCR test or antigen test. Now I would love to clarify something with each one of you. And because also I have read in many groups, or I have read also in some other comments of people claiming that Turkey is not accepting antigen tests for these countries that I personally classified as any other country, I want to share my experience with you. I recently traveled from Mexico to Turkey when I went to visit my family there. And I can tell you that antigen tests are being accepted and there is no problem if you show them. In my case, I already had my second dose of my vaccine and it was more than enough by showing my COVID certification, my vaccination. But when it comes to my husband, back then he only had one dose. He was still missing the second one. And for that, he got the COVID antigen test. He got the negative result and it was well accepted. So that's why I am telling you, and this is something that it's also stated in official announcements. PCR tests and antigen tests are well accepted for passengers coming from this classification of any other country. Also remember that for those passengers coming to Turkey, especially with little children, if your kids are under 12 years old, then there will be no need of showing a COVID vaccination certificate or a PCR test. Nothing is required from passengers under 12 years old. Also, as of September 6th of 2021, new regulations have been imposed by Turkey when it comes to traveling within the country. As always, some little things were left in the limbo and we don't have very clear information about certain things. And for example, about these new requirements, we don't know if these ones are also for tourists or only for us as residents and Turkish citizens. So these new regulations consist on if you want to travel within cities in Turkey, you will need to show a negative PCR test if you are not vaccinated yet. That is something that us residents and Turkish citizens must start doing as of September 6th of 2021. In case that you want to attend massive events, for example, a football match, concerts, festivals, theater, or even going to the cinema. For all of these things, you will need to show a negative PCR test. If the person cannot show the COVID-19 vaccine certification, the PCR test, or the document where they can state that that person has already healed from COVID-19, then the person will not be allowed to attend these events. So as I mentioned before, this is something that it's not clear for us and for anybody right now if these states are also for tourists. We already know that this is compulsory for us as residents and Turkish citizens. But when it comes to tourists, we have no idea yet. So we will be so grateful if any of you is traveling in the next couple of weeks. And if you are in this hypothesis that maybe you are not vaccinated, but you have your PCR test, if you were able to do intercity travel without any problem. What was the process like? Also, some other travelers will learn from your own experience and also we will have that information. If you're also wondering what is going on in Turkey in regards with the museums, restaurants, and major tourist attractions, you don't have to worry about that because everything in Turkey is already open, everything is operating as normal, so you can already come in and enjoy the country. So you already know what are the updated requirements in order to visit Turkey. If you found this video useful for you, please don't forget to give it a like. That way you can also help other people to reach our videos that will need this important information. As well, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.